Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the IEM Katowice qualifiers. Here for the Asian server qualifier, aka the Korean qualifiers. To the lower right hand side of the map, we have the blue Zerg player. It is
Armani.
And his opponent to the top left, the red Terran.
Team Liquid's Taeja.
Now, we've gotten our fill of Taeja over the last few weeks here on Base Trade TV. From the GBL to IEM Day 2. Granted, most of what we've seen, and frankly, all of the hype has come from the TVTs. Like Taeja versus Cure. I'm telling you right now, if you missed out on either of the we uploaded two completely separate Taeja versus Cure best of threes on YouTube back to back, like yesterday/today. And I'm telling you right now, both of those series are, in my opinion, some of the best games we're gonna see of the year. I know it's like barely a week into 2020. I'm telling you, watch the games. You'll probably agree with me. And if you don't, challenge me, prove me wrong. But either way, Taeja's given us some really fun stuff. Armani we've also seen recently too, so I do love that I'm a little bit more familiar with how both of these guys are playing. I will say this though, Armani's opening, very risky to me versus one coming up against Taeja. Because if you've been watching a lot of Taeja's games, you know he's been doing a lot of proxies recently, even against Zerg. Maybe not super committed, but at least 2 racks with the Reapers. So Armani going hatchery, gas, and pool. It's great because he's getting away with it. This is without a doubt the better build order if you get away with it. It's just more to the point that he's doing this blindly against Taeja. It's a risk to take, to say the least. But he won't be punished for it in this first game. So he may feel confident to do it later and get caught and punished then. We'll see how this first one plays out. One thing's for certain though. Both players, to me, Armani and Taeja, have excellent macro. To be honest, I think we would be robbed of this series if this was proxy play because then we wouldn't get to see the mid game and watch these guys go back to back. By the way, side note, I'm really hoping Taeja sticks with bio. He's been playing a little bit of mech now and again, but I really like watching Taeja just play good old standard Terran. And I think, to be honest, that's the ticket here against Armani. Reaper's kiting around a bit. One Reaper's not going to kill too much. The idea with these lanes is they're really here just to buffer till the Queen's out. Then the Queen can deal with the Reaper. Ain't no thing. Oh. Okay, shutting down things like creep tumors and getting small link kills is pretty nice. Reaper heads on over to the third and survives, which is really impressive. He gets the triple dots. Armani's just like a little sad from this. On the other side of the map for Taeja, he's swapping his buildings around. We're going to see some Hellion production start up. That's going to help him get some of the map control from this match. With the third base down here not being taken, but the northern base taken instead, Taeja does not get to deny or delay the third. It does put the third in a pretty tricky spot, though. It's not exactly a great spot to have to defend for Zerg against Terran, but it does make this a little bit more linear in terms of where the drops will go if Taeja starts doing big drops. Because let's be honest, most Terran, the game is not about one big parade push unless you're playing mech. The game's more about lots of little wins around the sides of the map that add up over time to a big lead. And that's how Terran tends to get ahead. But if Armani plays this right, if he gets those creep tumors down so it's not too slow to spawn and respond, excuse me, to bases under attack, I think he'll be okay. We got a battlecruiser coming up, and we saw this yesterday. I love battlecruiser play, by the way. I love battlecruiser play versus Zerg especially. And I think this opening is pretty strong. The Overlord Scout with speed in the main does scout this too, so I would be very surprised if Armani was caught completely off guard by it. Let's talk about the gimmicks of how you reply. Step 1, have a lot of queens. Doesn't really matter how good the Terran player is. If a battlecruiser's on the way, 6 queens can push it off. Yeah, you don't even need the spore crawlers as badly if your queens are just on point. But that's if it's just a battlecruiser. Of course, there's more going on than just the battlecruiser. These Hellions. If all the queens get distracted by a battlecruiser, the Hellions run in and kill all the drones. There's a lot for our money to consider right now, and that's where things like spore crawlers become really attractive because they're just static defense you can use, set it and forget it type thing. The Hellion's going to run on over. There's a lot of drones that are vulnerable. 3 shots from flames to kill them. Shoot the lings instead. Okay. Solid start to the defense for Armani, but as the battlecruiser finishes up, the first thing it's going to do is teleport right across the field. And while a layer is finishing soon, and the other step to deal with battlecruisers is corruptors, I don't know if he's going to get those out fast enough. If the layer is being built because he was hoping to just get speed for roaches, that's going to be a misstep. It is going to be a spire. Okay. So, mutas are not the reply to battle cruisers. Never have been, probably never will be. And Taeja's playing mech behind this too. So I really think what's going to happen is he's going to get the battle cruiser. He's going to expect corruptors to be made. Going to make some cyclones to deal with the corruptors. And then just play the game out from there. So there's your game of rock, paper, scissors. Or at least your early game of rock, paper, scissors. Although Taeja brings a lot less of a rock and more like a boulder. If the battle cruiser doesn't go straight to the main base, it does take a weird side path in. This is kind of neat because it could have grabbed an overlord if there's no speed upgrade already done. Unfortunately, though, this position doesn't leave much vulnerable, so the battle cruiser will not be sticking around for very long. If it wants to commit, it's going to have a pretty bad time. Especially considering these queens have transfuses, it's just going to be super annoying to kill through them. Now, the Hellions are just going to be kind of, at best, policing some of the creep tumors, but they can't even contest them that well. Battlecruiser goes all the way around the spore crawl. This does prompt a full drone pull from Armani, which is okay. That's a lot of economic damage done. Roaches are on the way behind us. Speed is about halfway done. But roaches, dear friends, are not so good against mech. Be it through battlecruisers in the sky, tanks on the ground, or cyclones. There's just usually you build them for fodder, right? But those cyclones, oh, hold the phone. Hold the phone! Roast the drones! 911! I want to report a murder! 18 drones die at this base. The battlecruiser goes down, does not get to teleport away. So all of that goodwill Taeja just got from killing this base, completely gone. His third base also is not being established because, of course, the low unit production has made this a real problem in dealing with the legs. He'll finish this off now and clean this up. But I mean, the Overlord's still there. It's still dropping creep. He has to wait for that to be pushed away before you even land the CC. So, to be clear, Taeja, with dominant map control, has still not been able to prevent creep spread from Armani, nor truly disrupt the economy of his opponent. A lot of the cool stuff we're seeing out of Taeja so far has been flashy at best. And what are these? Oh, well. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call a misclick. And frankly, those queens should have been punished for this, but Taeja didn't see it, so they'll get back home, which is great for Armani, terrible for Taeja. Missed opportunity, to say the least. The amount of Hellions out, though, starting to clean up some of the creep tumors as they just run by, looking for another drone hit. Big Evo Chamber block. I love this! So Evo Chamber's the top side, which I don't know if he meant to let that finish or not, but it physically blocks the Hellions from getting into the base. Honestly, as a like, this is me speaking as just like a low Masters Terran player at best, right? The most frustrating thing when I play mech doing run-bys is not finding a base with 7 spine crawlers. You can run around with 7 spine crawlers. What you can't do is get through the physical body block of an Evo Chamber to get to the drone line. And that was a really slick move out of Armani to do that and have that done in such a way that Taeja was just completely denied that attack. So well done, Armani. Maintains a 72 drone count spread across 4 bases now. A lot of creep spread. I talked about it before. Still spreading through the middle of the map. Even with creep tumors being in their quote-unquote nerf phase, this is great for Armani in terms of map control. But this is where mech starts maybe getting a little bit dangerous for him. Cyclones are about to get Magfield Accelerator. 800 damage over like 14 seconds or something. These corruptors are going to melt if the Cyclones get the lock-ons. Hell, even without the upgrade, you can see it does a ton of damage. But Cyclones are fragile units that are not really meant to dogfight. They're meant to harass. They're meant to grab a lock-on and walk away type thing. So as powerful as they are, they really can't be just going head-to-head with the roaches like that. And that's how you see one pop off. They've only got like, what, 120 HP? Feels a little fragile, man. However, that being said, we have a step 3 and 4 coming out of Armani as we speak. We have the Nidus network. Okay, that's one thing. It's more notable, though, that we got Swarm Hosts following this up. Now, these Swarm Hosts could be good or bad. And I know you can say that technically about anything in Starcraft, but to be clear, if Taeja has enough Blue Flame Hellions, the Swarm Hosts, the Locusts, they're going to be doing nothing. Okay, even if they get the Swarm Hosts in through the Nidus Swarm and undetected, as long as the Blue Flame Hellions are there to respond, the Locusts just melt. And furthermore, the Cyclones are the only units in the game that can really chase them down. Anything that deals good damage against Swarm Hosts is usually too slow to actually catch them, walk away, much less hop back into the Nidus Worm. Cyclones will get the job done in a pinch. But as the Shriek goes, Taeja doesn't know where to look. We're going to check his vision real quick. He's looking, he sees the Locust coming in. Oh no, Cyclones will get a lock on or two for sure, but he's being pincered between two locations, so he can't send those Hellbats up to the natural base. Couple here will buy some time, and the Locust might just time out. Picks up the command center, walks away, holds off the right side. Good defense out of Taeja. I would borderline say phenomenal defense, but it really depends on how many Cyclones he loses, because I think he got a little complacent chasing the roaches. But all in all, he survived the first wave of swarm hosts without being like, he had no idea they were coming. He had no vision on it. This was a pretty solid defense. The problem is this kind of back and forth is going to continue, because even with the Nidus Swarm having a cooldown now and units not loading and unloading as fast as they used to, it still is that dynamic of it rips the entire army from, say, the far right to the far left, from the top to the bottom, back and forth, faster than most Terran armies can reply. And so all the Cyclones go to the top side to reply, leaves vulnerability here to the south. Corruptors are caustic spraying the planetary fortress down. We got roaches trying to do some damage too. I mean, lock-ons are going to be kingmakers here, and if the base survives, great, but it's not going to, because caustic spray does more damage the longer it attacks. And it's a down base for Taeja. So knocked back to 3 bases. He may consider lifting the main over, because he doesn't have time to build a 4th properly right now. He needs money. Armani, on the other hand, of course, has taken some pretty serious losses in terms of units. Not so much for economy, but just army trading out pretty relentlessly. Remember, those 20 drones haven't been killed recently. That was very early in the game. But we got some tanks starting to establish themselves now. That's going to help against the roaches a ton. Not going to be so great against the locusts. We'll talk about that, I guess, if the interaction gets to that point or not. But I mean, a lot of this with the battle cruisers cleaning up some of the creep. Yeah, Corruptor's going to be a problem, but you know what? He's got a Yamato. He's got teleport. Well, excuse me, he doesn't have Yamato. I thought... Okay, guys, am I crazy? I swear to God, I thought I saw him researching Yamato cannon. Maybe canceled it. Didn't want to commit to the battle cruisers after the Corruptors. That would make a lot of sense. I just assumed it had finished. Tunneling claws on these roaches was so clever out of Armani too. The way he popped up out of the ground to get on top of those Cyclones. Remember, Cyclones are always going to be better for damage against roaches, but not if we get jumped on. I said it before, I'll reiterate it. They're not really frontline fighters. They don't have the health to take these hits. They do tremendous damage. Look at that front. It just melts away. And even the lock-on is dead. But then after that, they're so vulnerable for like the 4 seconds until it's off cooldown again. However, Armani's army on the ground is bleeding out in a really bad way, and he's got to be careful here. Because while he does have things like Corruptors flying to the north side to continue being cheeky and frustrating for sure, the Swarm Hosts are not part of the actual army. They're part of the harassing part of this. And these Swarm Hosts, on paper, will do a lot of damage, but they're never going to really kill a command center. Caustic Spray goes down on the armory. This is kind of clever because, well, there's 2 of them, but this is where upgrades would be going into it. Taeja, however, doesn't need upgrades conventionally as players do in this matchup, because he's not playing swords and tanks right now. He's playing Cyclones and Hellions. And that style gets all of its damage from the Blue Flame and the Magfield Accelerator upgrade, which Taeja has both of. So, having +2 weapons is great. Having +3 weapons would be great too, but it's perfectly acceptable to play with just the damage these units have right now. If he wants to transition later, that's where it might hurt him, but we'll get to there if we get to that point. Because most players who are playing this style of mech, it's very mobile. You're going to keep investing into it, and it's tough to really justify swapping out of it. Well, fungal growth is going to make this really awful to deal with. Tank setup here, the Locust going to land. Blue Flame, I mentioned this before, highlighting again. Deals with these Locusts, no problemo. But the fungal growth's being baited. Really nice dodge there out of Taeja. The Nidus Worm's relentless and annoying, but as cool and abusive as this looks, you could be the Zerg player who thinks Terran's broken. You could be the Terran player who thinks Zerg's broken. Either way, this is trading back and forth this game. There is no clear winner in my eyes right now. Although Taeja, with his better fight, is starting to look really favorable. No question about it. Bottom side, Battlecruiser sits above this base. I'm not sure why it was firing on a spine crawler, but whatever, there's no anti-air, so it's going to gut that drone line. Armani's not pulling away from it. It's like 100 creep tumors here because reasons. Those are all going to go down as well. The Battlecruiser just gets to camp, and it's going to force the Corruptors to respond to it. It does have teleport, but it's not going to teleport till it's way too late. Oh, it does get out alive! Tanks pushing on the front line too. A lot of these Cyclones are so damaged and so battered and so injured. They really can't take another fight. They can kite, but things like fungal growth, catching them and slowing them down is going to be just the worst case scenario here. So you see the roaches do die, but they also take out almost all the Cyclones with them. Resources lost, still piling up on both sides of this, but definitely starting to hurt Taeja a lot more. Armani's losing units that are fairly easy to replace. At the end of the day, roaches, you don't want to lose as many like this for free, but they're also kind of easy to replace. Broodlords are a really funny aspect to see too. I mean, why not? Because you're not really using the corruptors anymore. But Cyclones can still lock onto the Broodlords, and Cyclones can still kite them away. They finally fixed the leash range on Broodlords in the last patch of the game too, so they can't fire Broodlings from halfway across to Africa. Not anymore, at least. And that's where the Cyclones have a little bit more power. Yo, Twitch chat, we go guess game on this one though. How many roaches do you think have died this game? Not Cyclones and Honeys. We know a lot of Cyclones and Honeys died, but I'm really curious what you guys, how many roaches do you think died, alright? I know it's a 2-minute delay, so we'll have to wait to see your responses. I'll pop up the answer here in about 3 or 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. 130 roaches have died so far. That is such a crazy trade out. But we're in the end game now. And Taeja is destroyed by the Broodlords. GG. Armani takes the first game. And hopefully it won't be as loud. I'm gonna take that down a mix here. All right, now my fear, of course, is obviously that I've overcorrected. And if they end up being too quiet, let me know. We'll play this game a little bit more. But it is map 2 here for the IEM Katowice qualifiers. I, of course, am Rifkin. You're watching Base Trade TV. And spawning here to the upper left side of the map, we have the blue Zerg,
Armani.
Leading 1-0 is pretty impressive considering his opponent is, to the bottom right, the red Terran,
Taeja.
or more importantly,
Team Liquid's Taeja.
ended that a little bit too soon, but it is what it is. So IEM's put up a lot of really great games. This is a double elimination format for day 2. And there are limited slots to get by, and we are currently in the bottom bracket, which, let's be honest, everyone calls it the losers bracket. Calling it the lower bracket or calling it the bottom bracket is just some like politically correct, don't want to make people feel like losers, but let's call a spade, and this is the losers bracket. And whoever gets eliminated here will unfortunately have no chance to qualify through this qualifier, and will have to then compete in the European or the second Asia Games qualifier. The winner of this will move on to face off against Solar, which I'm unsure if that's a qualifying match or if the following round is, because the lower bracket is a separate bracket entity than the upper bracket, so it's not as fluid to read as a normal standard bracket. But okay, as we hop into this, highlighting again, Armani's gone for what I would argue is another greedy build, but this time it's a little bit, I think, safer and more justified, being up 1-0 in this series. So even if Taeja had proxied him and this had gone to hell in a handbasket, Armani has that other game to fall back to. I think Taeja's gonna be a little sad he didn't get aggressive though. I mean, I mentioned before, we've been seeing him play a bit of proxies, both against Zerg and Terran. And more to the point, I don't like that he played Mech a lot. I think Mech's pretty strong, don't get me wrong. A lot of players would agree with this too. But it's Taeja, and I just want to see him do. I just want to see him do what he does best, and that's play with a bunch of bio and do a lot of drops. The SCV got the early scout to make sure it wasn't going to be a Roach Warren or something, which is fine. Seeing the hatchery timing was pretty much enough for now. The Reaper's going to be really annoying too. I do hope that Taeja takes a moment to hop up to the main and see whether gas is being mined or not, but he doesn't need to do that. Like right now, doing that creep team would be a really nice win, but that's where the links come into play. Body blocking. And rather than muck about, he's actually put down a very fast third CC. Okay, cool beans. So Taeja's read this enough to say that he can get away with this, and that's all of just information based on the hatchery timing. It's the mark of a really good player or a really risky player. Take your pick, Starcraft fam. Either way, Taeja with a third CC should be able to get a pretty nice lead, at least economically. Mules are so powerful, especially in the early game. They taper off a little bit later once, you know, as cool as mules are, they're not the same as having like 90 drones, right? So we'll see how that plays out. Again, I'm hoping for bio. I don't love mech. Not for Taeja at least. I think mech's fine with some players. But oh, the Reaper gets caught out in the open. Of course, these things have speed, so it was guaranteed dead no matter what. Overlord's gonna dip back out of the main. Now, this is where it's a little tough for Taeja because I had mentioned the scouting several times now. Never getting to the main base. He didn't see how many gases were taken. He doesn't know if it was a faster layer. So unfortunately for him, he may be considering burning a scan because I just forget English and syntax and grammar. And with the third CC coming out this early, it would certainly be afforded to him. But he could also play a bit of a risk, flip the coin, and just play really greedy with extra mules early on. SCV production as well. And if he wants to do that, that's a totally fine alternative too. But I've talked about this many times. Like, Starcraft 2 is all about information. Reading what your opponent's doing and reacting appropriately, right? That's why map hacks are so powerful. Not because it makes the player better, it's because they know what's coming. They don't have to do the same guesswork. They don't have to roll the same dice and gamble as much. And that's where information would be key here for Taeja. Now, it is bio this time, so I'm just going to give a quick little hallelujah. I don't think Taeja was wrong for playing mech, and I don't want to give that I don't want people to think that that's the point I'm trying to make. I just think that for Taeja specifically, his bio play is so good that I don't want to see anything else. Doesn't matter that mech is good or bad, just entirely based on the fact that Taeja is so good with his bio. So we're going to see double engineering base follow this up. We're going to see some okay timings for upgrades, which is going to be fantastic to translate into attacks later. Ling just scouted that too, so I guess prior to this he wasn't quite sure, Armani that is, what the path would be, whether it be mech again or bio, but pretty much confirmed it's going to be bio. This is why banelings are a little bit more worth investing into, and we're going to see baneling speed come out as quick as it does. When you're playing against mech, typically you don't want banelings. You can always use banelings in a great situation, burrow them, catch a trap, drop them, whatever. There's a lot you can do with them, but typically speaking, you're not going to have banelings made versus mech. Versus bio, it's bread and butter, right? You're going to need that to deal with the Marines. It's wild. Occasionally I'll go back and watch like Artosis do Brood War, right? Because I'm not a Brood War guy. I'm not a Starcraft Remastered guy. It's not really my cup of tea. But I like Artosis and I like watching him play. And it always blows me away watching like I'm such a Starcraft 2 guy. And going back to Brood War the whole time, I'm just like, why aren't they making banelings? Why don't they just make banelings and make this so easy? Oh, right. Because you have to make Hydras because you don't have other units. And then insert Goliath pathing joke, something like that. All right, jumps up here really quick, takes out a lot of the live creep tumors. A very nice initial blitz here from Taeja, but also gonna have to pick up and immediately withdraw. Creep's gonna be reseated by the queens immediately as well, so there's no real damage in terms of the map control, just slows down the spread. You know, gotta put some band-aid on the infestation, if you will. Idle Viking to the top might grab an Overlord or drop. They have 4 banelings loaded up though, and when I was listing all the things you could do with banelings, I did not literally think we would have baneling drops, but let's be clear, if Taeja's not paying attention, we're gonna watch his vision. If Taeja's not paying attention, that Overlord's gonna hit really hard. He's looking, he sees it, he's not pulling away, he's fighting on the front line, so boom, boom, and boom, 12 SCVs go down. Sorry, I was trying to get off the player camera, that's why that was a little all over the place there, but still 12 SCVs dying is brutal. He's going for round 2. Armani with the clever tactics. I like this. This is something you do versus Protoss. It's not really something you do versus Terran typically. Usually there's a Viking out to catch this or Marines in position, but Taeja once, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, you can't fool me again. Okay, the banelings there were not nearly as effective. Nice response this time. Still though, it's 70 drones to 53 SCVs, and no matter how you paint that picture, it's a tough game money-wise. Armani's just going to be able to throw bodies at this. And that's how Zerg really does thrive in this game, I feel. It's just having a lot of army units to fight with, and then Terran kills it, but guess what? There's an immediate remax because that's how Larva works. And that's where Zerg ends up being the strongest. Now, this run-by certainly spooked Taeja. You saw his main army actually withdraw, temporarily leaving the siege tanks exposed. But it looks like Hellions have been left at home in its defense against this. Ooh. Hellions and Hellbats will help deal with the Zerglings for sure, but not the banelings that are going to break through that wall. So Armani's got plans up his sleeve, but he still is, all this time considered, Taeja's still putting a lot of pressure on the front line. Tanks are slowly leapfrogging forward, because if he ever unsieges all of them, the banelings will wipe those Marines off this map. It looks like, oh no! Oh, it's a strike! 10 SCVs go down. Oh my god. Taeja has lost 25 workers so far to these Baneling attacks. I think 12 on one attack, 10 on the other. That being said, though, the Marines have managed to bait the Banelings off of creep. And with Lings and Banelings off of creep, that's where Terran is going to actually take a good fight. So pushing forward once again, trying to bait more of these out. Focus fire the few Banelings that are in play. Spreads the Marines. The focus fire is good. Now it's just the Hydras he has to contest. More Banelings are, of course, on the way, but the position for these siege tanks has been monumental. It's been very difficult here for Armani to jump on top of them, and rightfully so. That's why he's taking a stance. Taeja with some good frontline pressure might make it a little difficult to justify run bys like this. The focus fire on the Banelings once again looking good, with the Marines having no threat to them. They push off and protect the tanks. No Zerglings jumping in on top of this. Target fire on the Baneling control so good. This is everything I wanted to see out of Taeja in that first game that we were missing. Oh my god, he's really starting to snowball. His economy, of course, is very damaged compared to that of Armani's, but it doesn't matter, because if we can just keep this momentum going, Armani will never be able to use that money lead. You know, with Starcraft 2 income, it takes like 2 or 3 minutes to really get that lead. You know, to see that army gain reflected in the production tab, to see that on the field, that's not happening. Armani doesn't have nearly enough time to make use of his bonus 15 drones. And Taeja, by the way, about to finish up his 2-2. So this upgrade, that small upgrade advantage Armani had with armor, about to disappear. Of course, it'll be leveled up as well. +2 melee just finished up. But regardless, focus fire is still of the absolute essence when it comes down to dealing with this. You see him segmenting small amount of Marines forward to dive in on top of the Banelings. Tries to kill the Baneling nest. Does kill the Baneling nest. No more Banelings after these ones. That's a huge thing for Taeja to know, because even if Armani starts a new Baneling nest right now, it will be like a full minute before a new Baneling gets made. So this really is the time for Taeja. Oh, this creep to the south too. Oh god, I want him to clean it up, but he doesn't need to. Pressure's already going to the natural base. Several Marines segment themselves over to the mineral lines as the army gets baited over to respond to this. I mean, Taeja's fighting on creep. This is so risky to do in every regular circumstance for Terran. But because he's got siege tank control, because there's no Baneling nest, I mean, the Baneling nest is still only a quarter of the way completed. This is just tough. Any Banelings Armani loses right now are gone for good. And the tank count continues to grow. 6 of them out here on the front line. Now these Banelings get some okay connects on the Marines, but there's still so freaking many Marines and so few Banelings. Taeja pushes forward. He's on top of the Hydras. He's on top of the Queens. He's on top of the GGs. Taeja ties up the series 1-1. I love this Team Liquid player, guys. I love him so much. He's so good. I don't care that Taeja's not in the form that he was when he was the best. He's still freaking amazing, and I love watching him play. And while game 1 was not that impressive, game 2 just, it ticked all the boxes for me. Good focus fire on the Banelings. Great map control. Sure, there were weaknesses. Baneling drop shouldn't have done any damage to Taeja, but they did. Okay, that sucks. But he still was able to push through it and persevere, and that is... Oops. Dropped my phone. That is why that was so great. Did my phone literally just Alt F4 out of Starcraft? Are you kidding me? How did I drop it so perfectly? Oh god, hang on. I gotta get all this open so I don't miss the game. Please don't let me miss the invite to this game. I'm not religious, but if there is a higher power, please take pity on me this one time. Okay, we got it just in the nick of time. You guys hear those beeps? All right, let's load in. It's game number 3 for the losers bracket. I'm losing my mind tonight, guys. I love this, but so we are in a 2-minute stream delay, and I just see it. This is why you don't play bio. Oh, come on, man. I'm so glad you wrote that, because I know how wrong you are way before you do. Okay. It's game number 3. Tied up 1 apiece. Their lives are on the line, because if either player loses, they're out of the tournament. And they'll have to go play off server for Europe at god awful times for Korea, and then they'll have to play in the other qualifier. It's just so much better to get through the qualifier early on. So, to the bottom right, for possibly the last time today, we have the Zubler. Oh my god. The blue Zerg player,
Armani.
And his opponent to the top left, rocking that Team Liquid, but not the blue. Red works though because of that Marvel team up. It's
Taeja.
I never actually considered that till I just said it. But yeah, if you guys don't know, Team Liquid teamed up with Marvel like last year, and they've got some red logo versions out there that look pretty slick. I don't own many team jerseys. I do own a Dota 2 Team Liquid jersey. I know, God forgive me, guys. I like other games. But I will say, on the whole, the Team Liquid jerseys have always looked pretty solid. And if I'm being really honest, that Marvel line they came out with looked pretty slick. But I'm not here to show for Team Liquid. Hashtag not sponsored. So, Armani once again gets away with this. I don't want to call it greedy because it sounds such like a negative thing. But let's be clear, objectively, kind of greedy, right? Gets the hatchery first, gets your gas first, pool latest. It'd be very frustrating to deal with Terran players getting aggressive on him. But Taeja, I think, has identified this in both of the previous games and chosen not to try and capitalize it on game 3. And I really think that if this was a best of 5 instead of a best of 3, we may have seen him try and go for something a little bit more aggressive. But it's your last life. I mean, I thought about this might be the last time we see Armani. It's also maybe the last time we see Taeja today. And it could have been very, very, very bad to throw it all away on one risky gamble, right? So this SUV is going to possibly block the third base. Reaper heads on over too. I mean, the scouting got done. He saw the hatchery already finished. The creep spread was enough. You don't need to see the actual physical hatchery to know there's going to be something there. And if this hatchery came out this quick, it's pretty safe to assume that there wasn't going to be like the world's fastest Rotorn behind it, right? So Taeja, he didn't need to see much to know a lot. And that goes right back to all that information junk I was talking about earlier in Starcraft. Rifkin, no open flames today. Don't operate any heavy machinery and beware of anything you could trip over and sharp objects. Bro, you've just described my life on the regular, okay? This is not like an exception. Today is exceptionally bad in terms of things going wrong for me, but no, I'm pretty clumsy. For somebody who never goes outside, I have a surprisingly large amount of various little cuts on my body. Like for example, I'm even looking at this right now. There's a huge red chunk on the knuckle of my thumb because I don't even know how. I literally woke up and just had like a huge cut on my thumb. Like during the night, did I flop over and hit the corner of my bed so hard that it broke the skin, but not so hard that it didn't wake me up? Like, I don't know. Well, as far as this game will go, I mean, on one hand, obviously, go Taeja. Woo! Big Taeja fan. But Armani's been putting up a really good show. And I think what sucks is Armani's never really been the tier 1 Zerg in Korea, right? I don't want to be too mean, but let's be blunt about it. It's what it is. Never quite rising to the ranks of like Sue and Dark and what have you, but he's very good. Like this series being 1-1 already tells you that much, even if you didn't see the other games. So I definitely want Taeja to go through. Terran bias 100% on this. But on the other side, it'd be really cool to see Armani go through because A, it'd be a good bit of progression for Armani on the whole. Well, double Evo Chambers this early. But secondly, if Taeja gets knocked out, that means Taeja will play in the other qualifiers, so we'll get a little bit more Taeja. So, you know, if Taeja wins, if Taeja loses, it's kind of a win-win if you're a Taeja fan, as I presently am. But the double Evo Chambers this early for fast upgrades is really weird to me. It's fine to get upgrades over Terran. I mean, for a long time, I think the meta was pretty much like Zerg would be on 2-2 as Terran was on 1-1. But I don't think he can afford both, which is why it's weird to see them both slot down so early. Ollie in the chat say thanks for shilling, mate. No problem, Team Liquid, bro. You can just send that paycheck directly through PayPal, okay? Okay, this Liberator's causing a lot of chaos. Obviously, the Queen wasn't paying attention, so that was a very big pick-off right away. Spore Crawler's on the way now, and the drones unfortunately had to withdraw mining, so we're going to see a lot of income discrepancy there, but it goes right back to it. I do like that Taeja pulled this away, though. A lot of times we'll see this kind of kamikaze for an extra drone kill or two. I think having a second round after this has been repaired up will be far more valuable. We do have the third CC set up, and he's setting up a wall on the left side. I do like this idea because when you look at the way the map's laid out in general, there's only one attack path. I know there's two literal different attack paths, well, three, that Armani could approach from. But the idea is that all forces will be coming this direction. No matter what they're coming from, they're coming from this direction. So you don't have to do a lot of guesswork like, oh, where's that run by going to slip in from? Not the left side, you've got a wall off for it. And it's good to see Taeja taking the priority to do this, because it's also supply he just needs right now, as he's getting pretty close to supply block. But hey, that's a good thing, because his production is so solid that he's getting close to supply block. Now 1-1 is about what, like close to halfway done for Taeja. We have armor nearly completed for Armani. I don't think there's going to be this window though where that +1 armor will be a game changing upgrade, like a critical damage type thing. But it does appear we're going to have Bailing drops again. Or at least that's what it looks like he's setting up for. No, 100% we're going to see Bailing drops again. 4 lanes and 4 legs, those are Bailings. No Viking this time. I mean, I know that the first one went out to the bit of production went out to the Liberator, but no Viking means no clearing up Overlords, but it also means no zoning them out if he thought Banelings were being dropped again. But I said it before, like, it's not really an anti, like, you don't drop Banelings on Terran. It's more of like a thing you do versus Protoss. So I think it's very fair to say Taeja wouldn't expect this. And is he looking? Taeja, are you looking? I don't think he's looking. So boom, boom, boom. Death rains from above and 11 SCVs die. However, a counterattack is going to punish a hatchery. So a little bit of tip for a little bit of tat, maybe. Nope, the hatchery's going to survive. He starts stuttering back. He's on creep. These Bailings do not have speed. He could focus him down. Instead, picks up the medevacs. Goes to the high ground, but he's dropping into Queens. And one of these medevacs is so low. Queens focuses down. Half the Marines inside die. This is real bad for Taeja in terms of the aggression. He's not going to be able to stick around, and sometimes the threat of sticking around is more powerful than the attack itself. Bottom left, the Hellions are cleaned up immediately. That medevac's forced out here, and oh, we got out, and there was 6 HP. This is not going well for Taeja, guys, because on top of this, we've got Muta spawning. The tank gets caught out in the middle of the map, failing, dropping to the natural base. 4 SCVs die. The one's mining gas, most importantly. And I am both happy and very sad at the way this game is pacing out as a fan of Team Liquid's Taeja. But I'm not going to count him out until it's over. Taeja's got really good macro. God, these SCVs are all so low. He's got really good macro. His upgrades are still going pretty strong. Armani is not so far ahead that it's an auto win. I mean, any game of Starcraft 2, if you're within like 40 supply of someone else and you've got a little bit of area of attack damage, whether it's through siege tanks or through Banelings or Widow Mines, storms if we're going that direction, there's always a chance the other guy can throw. And I know this sounds really dumb, but we see it all the time. Like, pro players are really talented at StarCraft, but whether you're Alpha Star, the AI, or a pro player in Korea, throwing the game is always an option. Not one you should ever want to choose or strive towards, but it's always there. So, with Mutas being the investment out of Armani, this does focus all of the gas pretty much into this one set of units that are gonna be very expensive to continue producing. He's upgrading them too, so you know he really wants to commit to getting more of these out. But whether it's 15 mutas or 25 mutas, at the end of the day, bio's a little bit better. Mutas are more about harassing than they are directly engaging. And I think drilling claws on the Widow Mines is a really smart call right now as well, because while Widow Mines will certainly pop off versus mutas in the right situation, they're going to help deal with the Lings and Banlings very nicely. Even if you gamble it, yeah, enough Widow Mines, you're going to kill them. Tanks are not going to be as reliable either. And the Widow Mines are more versatile, which just makes them more attractive in general. But oh god, cut out in the middle of the map. Granted, this is off of creep, but completely wipes out Taeja. He's in full retreat now. Falling back, but what's he falling back to? Nothing. There's no Widow Mines on the ground pre-burrowed. There's a Marine rally on the right side, but it's separated. If these two were fighting together, maybe it would be a different story. Marines going for the backside, trying to focus on the Banelings, but no, the mutas are still going to zone this out. Taeja's falling apart at the seams. 30 supply down at this point. Down in upgrades as well. He's got a couple of Widow Mines to work with here, but it's so much more important these Widow Mines go off on the Banelings than anything else. The Zerglings, okay, it's a good wash, but the Banelings are the threat here. If the Marines live at the end of the day, they can dogfight the mutas. So, step 1, survive the Banelings. Step 2, win the battle. I'm so shocked, by the way. I just want to revisit this because of the stream delay bringing this up. You guys reacting to the Baneling drops. I'm really shocked that they've been hitting so hard against Taeja. I mean, once is, okay, understandable, but twice? And in the same game, after it just happened in the previous game, that's a little shocking to me. Thor's out. That's going to help with the mutas. That goes back to that AoE damage I was talking about earlier. Well, what I was trying to talk about earlier, but my mouth wouldn't actually do. One Thor with no weapon upgrades isn't going to scare these mutas very much, but it is going to keep them from clumping up. So it's a little difficult for Taeja, excuse me, Armani to do crazy muta micro when you're busy spreading out. It really, like, there's some luck that's going to be involved in this. It's not just that it's Widow Mines. Widow Mines are kind of like a gamble, right? Are they going to get the shot that actually hits anything, or do they just go off on like 3 lings and hit nothing? Because so much of this is dependent on those hitting the banelings. Meanwhile, Thor, way out of position. Two missile turrets per mineral line. That'll trade up for a Mutalisk or 2 maximum, but so many SCVs are going to die. Taeja has to make a hard decision. Come back home and deal with the mutas, chase these down, or go across the field. He's got a couple Marines running around, but he needs to cut these off at the head. Like, if you know the mutas are going south, get south. This is tough. This is really tough to watch. Because, I mean, missile turrets are not a bad idea. But if you've got the money like Taeja does right now, burning minerals and missile turrets is not a terrible idea. But at the end of the day, no matter how you paint it, it's always going to be better to be using this, like, minerals and gas on army units. Something that's mobile, something that can move. I will say this, though. As time went on, they both got to max out in this game. Upgrades are 2-2 apiece, soon to be 3-3. And I'm so bloody impressed that Taeja's weathered the storm, as it were, to get to this point. He's expanding to another base, which will be likely a planetary fortress. Sure, we have some Ultralisks on the way, but through this, on top of the Widow Mines, we've had a couple Marauders made. The Mutalisks are still a very big problem that definitely need a better solution than what we see, but ultimately, there should be a fight that, oh god, takes on the Ultras. So the planetary goes down, but at the cost of like all of the banelings? Was that like actually all of the banelings? No, not even close. 37 in the big mob down in the back. Regardless, planetary goes down, and that's going to eat into Taeja a little bit. Luckily, he does have this base set up, and he's already building missile transport, so he's just going to transfer over here, and he should be just dandy. There's 4 missile turrets, which is too much for the mutas right now, so they're bleeding out a little bit, all in panic to respond to the bottom right, where Taeja is currently pushing. And we do see Armani splitting a small amount of units forward to try and beat the baneling shot. Oh, chains up the banelings for the Widow Mines. A lot of banelings still standing. But the problem with banelings, they're one and done. So the Ultras have a lot of support for the first wave of an attack, but if Taeja survives at all, there's nothing to support them afterwards. And Ultras, as we all know, are these garbage units on their own, right? Like, they should be more terrifying than they really are, but on their own, without proper support, Ultras are nothing. Kindness plating's done, and you just watch that first one on the left side melt because the whole army got to focus it. Marauders will be very good in small scale engagements. Hell, just having them on the front line to physically block the banelings from reaching the Marines is probably the best thing they'll do in this game, much less be good against the Ultras. Falling back a little bit, though, he does finally deal with the Mutalisk. Mutalisk completely removed from play. Last one gets picked off. Micros with Thor's back as well. Granted, he's going to lose this frontline battle, but getting rid of the mutas just took map control back in the game. Taeja has to survive it with a rally. Oh, God, pick up those units. They're just going to die. There's nothing to fall back to here just yet, but Armani's also dwindled most of his supply chasing forward. So while both players have a lot of supply, most of it's in production right now. In terms of army, that is. Excuse me. Income's looking fantastic for both. It does favor Armani, but not surprising because he is on like every base that he could be on his half of the map, -1. So it is hurting a little bit more for Taeja to rebuild. The Marauders diving forward for that Queen Snipe were very bold. Widow Mines get an okay shut off here on the Lings. This is where Marauders end up being a little bit weak. But you see all these Corruptors in the sky. Greater Spire is completing soon, and Taeja is not ready to anticipate this tech swap. TY has a style where he kind of drags and drops the Widow Mines on top of Corruptors and Broodlords. Maybe Taeja can hope to make that happen, but oh god, oh god, oh god, hold on! Maybe if he just hits every single Corruptor with the Widow Mines, then none of that even matters! The Marauders take on the Ultras, now it's just Lings. A lame amount of Corruptors remain. Taeja with those huge Widow Mine shots. He's got a very small drop over here on the right side too. Sure, he lost 13 SCVs, but my god, winning that army fight was huge. A lot of the times in StarCraft 2, you hear me brush off cosmetic damage, air quotes, with the army battles. No, that was so important. Look at Armani's bank. It's non-existent, which means he doesn't have the money to build 15 Broodlords right now and punish Taeja or anything like that. He's remaxing on Banelings. He's trying to get Ultralisks out. There's not enough Corruptors to even be that scary in the first place. And suddenly, Taeja's very back in this game in a huge way. Oh, these Widow Mines! Look at the splits go out of Armani. Equally impressive. Oh my god. Be still, my beating heart. This base was so critical. By the way, I really want to just highlight how important this base was. Taeja did take the main base and transfer it down here. So it's not like, oh my god, he ever ran out of bases. But the timing at which this base completed for him to transfer to really kept him from having too much of a disruption, right? You can see that blip here. That's where that kind of happened and went down. But for the most part, it's not about the money. Again, it's so much. This is about the army. We're in the late game, right? 16.5 minutes in. Tank sieges up on the ramp. Honestly, just a body block the Banelings if nothing else. Also gets stuck here on the front line with the Marauders. He's got to split versus the Banelings. Now he's only got to deal with the Ultras and a couple of links. Planetary Fortress is going to be huge to the defense. And of course, the missile turrets push off the Corruptors. Left side's got a small, annoying attack on top of the supply depots. But Taeja, once again, takes an amazing army battle. And one thing we don't often go over on this stream is the army graph. I don't think it's usually that helpful, but look how wild this has been for Taeja. Down and down and down in supply. Finally gets a nice hump up. Down in supply again. Like, these trends continue to repeat themselves. Not in the exact same way, of course, but we go these phases of Taeja being down in supply and then up in supply, and then he takes a good fight. And I think he should be able to hold this lead. I think if Infestors come out and maybe Fungal Growths hit, that could change things. Those are support units the Ultras have needed this entire time. Oh my god. Has this not been a wall the entire time? Has both players? I need to go to the replay after this is done. All right. This is getting really scary here for Armani. He's clearly not taking down the Marauders. The Ultras are getting split through their rally points. We do have them taking just a lot of damage. I mean, they're so durable. With this many Queens transfusing them, that's cool to see. But I think the bio should be, well, they should be kiting a little bit better, frankly. I don't know why they're sitting here shooting the Ultras with the fires, but links break through the wall on the left side. They can kill some SCVs, but it doesn't really matter if Armani can't stop this push. And those Widow Mines, by the way, no detection. So coming up for round 2, if these Infestors try to walk in through the backside, they're going to get Widow Mine bonked. Fungal growth is big. You can't pick units up that are fungled. Unfortunate, so these Marines are going to die. Except some nice Widow Mine use once again, popping off of these lings. Taeja may have overstayed his welcome, I guess. Although he picks up some of the Infestors, so I take that back. Super worth it now. Resources last year also getting really out of hand. Not going to finish off the hatchery. I think knocking that down could be very devastating, but at the same time, he might not want to be popping out broodlings to assist the army. He's kiting very well, I gotta say. This has become such a micro battle at this point. It's not about macro. It really is about controlling this army. This is my favorite version of Starcraft 2. Armani pushing this back, though, without the medevac support healing these units. He's got a couple rallied forward. God, I'm just like, where are the Liberators, man? Can you imagine 2 Liberators just set up right here, just enjoying controlling the game? Top right, new command center is going to get blocked out by creep. That's super duper annoying. So he's going to go south instead and not waste time cleaning up the creep. He does need to eventually handle that, of course. This base is being blocked out by a burrowed Zergling. High five to Armani for being able to pull that off. God damn, this game has been wild. Units lost 580 Zerglings so far. 10 Ultras, 25 Mutas. Very expensive losses for Armani, but also for Taeja. With the mines, do your thing! Banelings pop off and help deal with them too, so it's kind of a nice trade in that regard. The Ultras, oh god, the Fungal catches the entire army. This little Infestor is the MVP of this game if this wins. Oh my god, but the Widow Mine here popped off all the Banelings. It was like a magic spell. I'm just like, Thanos snapped, this Banelings disappeared, and I'm like, what happened? 62 more Zerglings are flooding the field right now, and while this will probably win an army fight out in the middle of the map, 62 Banelings aren't going to kill a planetary fortress. I mean, with Baneling support they could, but 62 Zerglings won't. But still, even these Zerglings just flooding out like this. This is support for the Ultras that we had talked about earlier. He's even gone as far as to get anabolic synthesis. So we see the Ultras running very fast off of creep, which is nice. Really good for Armani. But there is a really important shift we need to highlight. As time gets to the 20-minute mark, bases are mining up for Armani. And this entire game, he's been able to afford this money, right? These bad fights didn't matter. He had the money to waste. Not so much the case going forward. Look at this. Dry, dry, dry. Almost dry. Like, there's not many bases left that have minerals. So if the trend of this back and forth continues, where Taeja's taking more cost-effective battles over the next 10 minutes, for sure Armani will starve out of this game. This is like the sickest, just, I don't even know what you want to call it, like standoff. He's just surviving, really. And this hatchery dies is gonna be devastating to Armani. It's one of 3 active bases, really. I guess we have a 4th one now set up, so I take that back. It's not as bad, but still, like, low drone count over here, bases mined out. I'm going to show you the income graph. It's going to look pretty good for Armani, I imagine. But as you can see, that trend over 10 minutes is starting to get back up now for Taeja. Especially as he establishes these new bases and pushes off the overlords and eventually deals with a burrowed lane that's being really stupid and frustrating. This game is epic, says just a burger in the chat. I would agree. we're so far into epic that we're almost at legendary, okay? Oh god, those were not good bailings for Armani. Now, those lanes that I had talked about remaxing, they didn't try and fight the army. They decided to go across the field. And if there was one really good way to cut out Taeja's legs from under him, it would be getting on top of the production. Not necessarily the economy. Terran could have a million minerals. Won't matter if they don't have a single barracks to build with. So I like the idea of the counterattack, but oh god. Even though the wooden lines went off a lot in the ultras, they did manage to take out most of the bailings with them, so the Marines start cutting backwards once again. Marauders off creep, focusing down the few ultras there are. He could always fall back to the planetary fortress. He's lost a lot of his army, though. Most of it's at home, not actually out in the front lines, because he had to rally back to deal with this run by. Armani has his own squad of Marines. Okay. All right, boys, what's the plan here? Body block the minerals? Actually, I was making jokes, but if he does clog up the rally point, he's super frustrating to deal with. Especially because it's not easy to realize that those are changelings a lot of the time. Did Armani forget adrenal glands? You know what? He doesn't have adrenal glands. I don't know if that was going to be his plan, though. Because to me, everything looked like he wanted to go to Ultras and get Brood Lords eventually, but... with the amount of Zerglings that have been made this game, I would certainly... Oh my god, we're almost at 1,010 Zerglings! I would argue Adrenal Glands would have been a better upgrade, for sure. The investment would have been very much worth it. I don't think it would have been initially, but he's been kind of forced to make a lot of Zerglings through these battles. So, yeah, I would agree with that statement, chat. Another burrowed Zergling denying another base of Taeja. I really hate that this command center still floating in the bottom left because it's just wasted energy at this point. This army caught in a very odd spot, dealing with these ultras, not kiting, but instead facing the battle head on. Not how you should deal with ultras. I think it was microing over here. It cost him the army over here. And through 2 different battles, suddenly Armani has arrested control of this game. I talked about there being kind of a time limit on the minerals. For Armani, I didn't really talk about that for Taeja because it didn't seem like that's how this was gonna go. But Armani takes the series and knocks Taeja out of the loser's bracket. So, dear Taeja fans, weep, lament, woe, for Taeja is not going to make it through this qualifier. However, rejoice knowing that he will likely play in all of the others until he gets through.